Hey YouTube. So I wanted to open today, it's Sabbath. So happy Sabbath if you're watching it on Sabbath. I wanted to open today with a blessing to share with you guys, a testimony. So I've been on blood pressure medicine for 17 years, I guess. And I did a 4-day fast a few weeks ago. And I haven't had to take any blood pressure medicine since then. So praise the Lord on that. I've been taking medicine in the morning and in the evening for that. So I'm very thankful for that. We won't always have access to doctors and medicine and such. So we should be thinking about and learning how to use the natural remedies that God gave us so that we aren't afflicted with all of the infirmities that are going around the planet right now. But anyway, so I wanted to share that with you. The sermon today was wonderful. It was about judgment. Because we can't just ignore that, right? I mean, we have to get prepared for that. We need to work towards being sinless, and we can only do that through Jesus Christ, of course. But it's very popular nowadays to talk about once saved, always saved, and you don't have to worry about sin because, Jesus died on the cross to cover all that. I touched on that briefly before, but we still have to do our part. We can't be just towed to heaven. He expects us to make every effort. I mean, his apostles talk about beating their flesh to instead of sinning. I mean, I don't believe they were speaking literally, really, but they were discussing the difficulty they were having with fighting sin, because we're born into a world of sin, and it's enmity with God. Sin can't survive or exist where God is. So we have to get rid of it. Jesus died on the cross to save us, to give us the way, but we still have to do our part. In any event, I wanted to touch a little bit more on the mark of the beast that I talked about in the last video. And I came across through today's sermon a couple of really good passages in some old books. I love old books. The Bible being top of the list, of course. But in any case, so I wanted to read a couple of paragraphs briefly to illustrate my point last week, which was about the mark of the beast being Sunday sacredness. That will be something that the papacy inflicts on the planet. And most people will go along with it because, after all, I mean, the Bible does tell us that narrow is the gate that leads to righteousness. Wide is the gate and broad is the path where most people will be going. So my effort is to try to let people who might not find this information other places or otherwise, maybe they'll come across this video and it'll teach them a couple of things about what's coming and how to get beyond that, because it's coming soon. So a couple paragraphs are: the Sabbath will be the great test of loyalty, for it is the point of truth especially controverted. When the final test shall be brought to bear upon men, then the line of distinction will be drawn between those who serve God and those who serve him not. While the observance of the false Sabbath in compliance with the law of the state, contrary to the fourth commandment, God's fourth commandment, not the Pope's, will be an avowal of allegiance to a power that is in opposition to God, the keeping of the true Sabbath in obedience to God's law is an evidence of loyalty to the Creator. While one class, by accepting the sign of submission to earthly powers, receive the mark of the beast, the other, choosing the token of allegiance to divine authority, receive the seal of God. And we talked about the mark of the beast not being a chip It's not a thing. It's not a computer program. It's not any of that. It's what you choose in your mind, who you choose in your mind to follow and uphold those doctrines. So do you want to follow Satan? You get his mark. If you follow God, you get his seal. Heretofore, those who presented the truths of the third angel's message have often been regarded as mere alarmists. Their predictions that religious intolerance would gain a control in the United States, that the church and state would unite to persecute those who keep the commandments of God, have been pronounced groundless and absurd. It has been confidently declared that this land could never become other than what it has been, the defender of religious freedom. But as the question of enforcing Sunday observance is widely agitated, the event so long doubted and disbelieved is seen to be approaching, and the third message will produce an effect which it could not have done before. So if you're not paying attention so much to what's happening right now, there's a lot of agitation about Sunday sacredness. It's in commercials. They talk about Sunday being protected as family time and this and the other, all kinds of things. Francis is running around the entire planet trying to, he's discussing Sunday sacredness. He calls it Sabbath. It's not Sabbath, it's Sunday. Sabbath is the seventh day. People call it Saturday, but actually a lot of the languages on the planet call it Sabbat or some variation of Sabbath, but it's the seventh day, not Sunday. So, but he's trying to twist it, you see, because he's being governed by that power, not that one. And most are, they already have that bent towards Sunday. I mean, they go to church on Sunday. I don't know that they hold the entire day sacred, which pretty much nobody does that. It's unfortunate that they don't do it on Sabbath, but they don't do it on Sunday either. So those who are pretending to, it's not about going to church, you see. It's not. It's about the day that God created for mankind to spend with him once a week, to keep it holy. Spend it with him, not Sunday. So the Pope's running around doing all these things and getting all the churches to join in a mind meld with him, and he's promoting the ecumenical movement. Thank you, which is, that's the problem. That's not what we're supposed to do. Jesus said in Matthew 10:34 that he came. Well, we'll go and read it. Matthew 10. Oh, I have it here already. Whosoever shall deny me before men, him I also will deny before my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. You see, because he knows that you can't have peace on earth. Because if we go back to the beginning of this video, there isn't going to be peace on earth. There's not. It's chaos. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until Jesus comes. But Satan this is his domain right now. God is in control of everything, but this is his domain until Jesus comes. So there's not going to be peace on earth. There won't. Jesus talks about, in fact, being divisions in families. So that's what's going to happen. This ecumenical movement, it's interesting because the papacy is like, yeah, so we can just set aside our differences and that'll be great, and we'll just all love each other and it'll be great. We'll all get along. We're just going to set aside our differences. But she, the papacy, a woman in Bible prophecy, is a church. she doesn't set aside any of her stuff, right? Everybody's got to come to her. You notice that? Everyone's coming to the papacy. Papacy calls and everybody comes over, including the church that the movement that I'm a part of. So it's pretty disgusting, actually. I'll go into that later. But, so, there's not going to be peace on earth. Jesus didn't bring peace, because he knew that what he was preaching was going to bring division. I mean, he doesn't want to start fights. He's saying what his message is going to do to humanity. So the Pope's trying to, he thinks he can rule the world, you see, if he can just get everybody to lay aside their policy or their doctrine and come on board the Pope ship, and everything will be great. It's not going to be great. It's going to be terrible. And when the papacy gets her power back, she got her deadly wound in 1798 when Berthier came in to the Vatican and took the Pope captive, and he died in captivity. But before 1798, the papacy was killing Christians that didn't believe in the things the way the papacy did, you see. Because the papacy enjoys a lot of financial support from those who they trick into paying for forgiveness of sins, or, hey, just put money in this pot over here, and your loved one that has died and is in one of the dimensions of hell, which is a lie, they won't have to wait there so long before they go to heaven, you see. You just give me money and I'll send down some instructions and then they'll go straight to heaven. It's all foolishness. It's all a lie. There's no, when you're dead, you're dead. There's nothing there. You're dead. You're sleeping until Jesus comes, and then he's going to bring everybody out of the grave. We talked about that before. But the papacy, I mean, if I feel like a loved one of mine dies, and I believe that if I just give him all my money to this guy, he'll send down instructions and send my loved one to heaven. Wouldn't I do that? I mean, have you seen their places of worship? I mean, it's crazy, the amount of money. It's insane. But in any case, this is the lie of Satan. And I'm hopeful. Just study the Bible. The Bible tells you everything you need to know. It takes a lot of study, but that's fine. What else are you going to do? Go watch TV? Don't watch TV. I unplugged my TV in 2011. I can't even, when you pull up the internet, of course, you see programs and stuff that I can't even believe the stuff they're putting out. I just can't. I can, but it's disgusting. Who would spend even 20 minutes sitting in front of that thing watching that trash? It's trash. And they're sucking your mind. Read the Bible. Just read the Bible. Read the King James Version. The Lord will help you. Just ask him. He's the interpreter of his word, right? So if you want to know the truth, read his word. So I made a couple notes this time, so hopefully I can stay on task. So the sermon today was about judgment, and the pastor talked some about the importance of Sabbath that we've talked about before, and Revelation explains to us in further detail about how the mark of the beast is going to come to pretty much everybody in the religious world says, yes, the Bible talks about a one world order coming, and so they all believe that, and they talk about it, and that's true, but it's not going to happen the way they say it is. So I wanted to give you a couple more pieces about the mark of the beast, so that you had some tools and some points on which to study. And I'm going to do another video about why I'm saying that the papacy is the Antichrist, because that's what he is. And he's, if you look at some of the articles that are written in the last year or two, he's, like I say, he's been talking about ecumenism and coming together, and everybody should love it. You shouldn't talk bad about other people and such. Right, well, if you're doing bad, then it's not, then speaking the truth might be, if it's reflective of what's happening, then it's just going to be bad. Okay, that's just the way it is. And they're laying the foundation right now, you see, because they're using the things that are going on in the world to do this, as to talking about extremism and terrorism. They're using these segments of society, such as they are, whether they're actually true or not, to say, yeah, I mean, you can't let people. What does that mean? You can't let people. Does that sound like freedom to you? That doesn't sound like freedom to me. You can't let people speak badly or poorly of others. Okay, well, what if it's the truth, right? I mean, are we allowed to speak the truth, Mr., Berglio, or whatever his real name is? He just kind of annoys me, I'm sorry. So he's saying, yes, speaking ill of others is what is terrorism, speaking ill of others. So they're laying the foundation such that we won't be able to speak these truths. And so I don't want to just say the papacy is the Antichrist and then not give you anything to go by. So I'm going to do an outline about that as well. Because you need to have tools. You need to have knowledge. You need to be reading. Old and new, both of them. Not one to the exclusion of the other. They both count. And they speak to each other. I mean, just Daniel and Revelation, for example. I just got my 1882 version. I'm so excited. I can't wait to start reading this. Because it has a lot of history in it, world history. And then brings into view the prophecies set forth in Daniel and in Revelation. They go hand in hand. They complement one another. So you have to read them both. Anyway, there's a lot to discuss with respect to that. I just want to make sure I covered everything. Yeah, that's enough for now. So I had to get this out, and I'll be back in the next day or two because I want to lay out the verses in the Bible that talk about why the papacy is the Antichrist. Nothing personal, just truth. And there'll be plenty of people in Sunday, in churches where folks go to church on Sunday. It'll be in every sector of religions, Catholicism included, that when they hear the truth and they understand the truth, they will come out of Babylon. So the United States is in prophecy too, so we will touch on that as well. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.